Well, a wave of populism washing over Europe, with several far-right and far-left parties winning big in the EU elections. Britain now seems more likely to have a hard Brexit. So what does this mean for the global economy? Here to discuss, Human Events Global Editor-in-Chief, Raheem Kassam. Raheem, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Charles, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Nigel Farage probably doing better. Strong showing for the Brexit party. In fact, for several of the so-called far-right parties in the EU elections. What do you think?
Well, it's extraordinary. Just 6 weeks ago, there was no such thing as the Brexit Party. And Nigel Farage has built up this team of people on the left, people on the centre and people on the right of British politics to all come together and say enough is enough. We voted in 2016 to leave the European Union. We haven't left the European Union, and it's time to do something about it. So they won 29 seats in the European parliamentary elections. That makes them the single largest party inside the European Parliament, full stop. But on the other side, as you said, across Europe you had Liberals winning, you had hard left Greens winning. So what this goes to show is via the left and via the right, there is a rejection of the centre ground of European politics right now.
And we could also call that a rejection of the political elites, can't we?
That's exactly what it is. And now Britain faces a leadership contest because Theresa May, one of those so-called political elites, resigned as Prime Minister, and the Conservative Party will now be undertaking this campaign to pick their next leader. One of the continuity candidates is the favourite in that election, Boris Johnson. He is very much cut from the same mould as Cameron and May and all of those people. So it looks like Britain may not, despite voting for something different, may not get a different style of Prime Minister.
Really? I was under the impression that Boris Johnson was going to be for a hard Brexit no matter what.
Oh, no, absolutely not. Boris is a slippery eel like that. You'll remember he was a never-Trumper in 2015 and 16. He said that Trump wasn't really welcome in Britain. He's not a right-winger by any stretch of the imagination. He's put on the table a second referendum, for example, to follow up on the 2016 one. So the Conservative Party base in the United Kingdom is still really scratching their heads thinking, well, we didn't even vote for them this time. They lost in the local elections last month. They keep losing, but they're not changing tack.
The rest of the Europe, Salvini, his party, 34% from 6%. Le Pen won more seats than Macron. She had bigger votes. We know Hungary, Poland, the Law and Justice Party crushed all of their rivals. What does it mean? Because the media is saying that this was actually a victory for pro-EU politics because it wasn't a tsunami, despite the fact that there were massive gains across the continent.
That's right, and I think some of these parties actually they suffered from overhyping their own expectations about how they would do. You know, Le Pen beats Macron by 2 points, but over the last 6 months she's been talking about how it was going to be a smashing rebuff to the political establishment. So I think there was a level of false expectation management there. The truth be told about these elections is it's not just a victory for the right. I mean, it is, but it's not just. It's also a victory for the Greens and the liberal left across Europe as well. But the funny thing is, the horseshoe, they all come around to despising centralised control in Brussels, despising the idea that the nation-state is no longer sovereign. And so I think what you're getting here is a fundamental reorientation, no longer left versus right in Europe, but it's the haves versus the have-nots.
Well, I tell you what, that's a reflection of America to a large degree, isn't it?
I think that's absolutely right, and therefore that's why I think a lot of Americans are looking over the Atlantic, looking to Europe at the moment and saying, well, look, where is our future? Because here you have Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez pushing that left-wing populist message. They will get a lot of sympathy. They will get a lot of boon to their standpoint in the next election as far as they're concerned from what they're seeing taking place in Europe at the moment. So what's going to happen in America next year, I think, is going to be very, very similar to what we saw in Europe, the real right pushing through again, but the real left destroying the Democrat establishment.
I got to tell you something. I'm not upset with this. I'm glad that the political elites are being pushed aside. I think their arrogance and their dismissal of most people, hardworking people around the world, finally catching up to them, Raheem. Thank you very much.
Well, it means we can have proper debates again. Thank you, Charles.
Let's have a proper debate. See you soon.